Good evening, my name is Garrett, and welcome to The Last Call. Tonight's final drink is from Peerless. This is their toasted Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, coming in at a 55.25% ABV. Now, I've been on the record of saying I really do enjoy Peerless. Some of their offerings are amazing pours, even if they don't always match up to the pricing they're wanting. Their double oaked bourbon and rye are two of my favorite offerings, and most people know them because of the double oaked. And, I've had their rum barrel finish. I thought it was pretty good, even if it was a little lacking on some features. And their rye is really solid as well. When I heard their toasted bourbon coming out, I was pretty excited. And originally at launch, it was a distillery exclusive, but it started hitting here in Indiana shortly afterwards. And my buddy Rich over at Holly's Package Store was able to get a couple bottles of this in for batch number 3. And as always, Peerless is non-chill filtered, kept barrel proof, all that kind of great stuff. And they're doing sweet mash style as well, which kind of a Spark Notes version is, instead of always keeping their fermentation tank filled and kind of adding to it, they finish that whole tank, clean it out, and start fresh each time with each batch. So a little more labor-intensive process overall, but it kind of makes that profile more yours. So I do like a good toasted bourbon. I've had several different offerings, especially we're seeing a lot of people play around with that toasted profile. So let's jump into it and see how Peerless does it, and see if they can really hold up to a lot of the big boys out there. I love these bottles. These bottles are so amazing looking. And I know that's a selective choice and it's not cheap, but I'll tell you what, I just love them. So, as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hang around for a bit, become a member if you'd like. If you're interested in some of the other reviews over Peerless that I've done, links to those videos will be up above and down below. The only Peerless I've yet to be able to snag a bottle of is their absinthe barrel finished, and it's phenomenal. And this year they released another batch and it was distillery exclusive again, and it makes me want to cry. I only had a taste of it one time, and I'm in love with it. It's one of my favorite pours I've ever had. Beautiful dark color. I mean, that is dark mahogany. That's gorgeous. You can definitely tell that secondary finishing going on there. Really adds a nice depth going on for the color. Alrighty, let's go for notes. Yeah. Right away, you're getting that toasted cask. It's sweet vanillas, beautiful charriness in there. You do get a lot of corn sweetness as well. Buttery sweet corn, dusty corn even. But the char levels are bringing out this gorgeously creme brulee with that vanilla note. That is nice. Maybe a little bit of like a honeycomb note going on as well. Love that. There's a little bit of spiciness in there too. I'm guessing probably from a little bit of a rye build in here. Yeah, kind of a spicy herbalness in there. There is some warmth on the nose, not only because of it being barrel proof, but if I'm still going to guess, you're probably not going over 4 or 5 years old on this. I think batch 2 was marketed at 5 years old. So I'm going to assume that batch 3 is the same way. So you do get a bit of bite of almost like a youth characteristic on things. But overall, really solid profile. We might have to do some other comparisons between some of the more well-known toasted barrels as well. But definitely get a nice honey note in there. That is interesting. Yeah, I just overall like its profile. Very straightforward. It's very reminiscent of other toasted barrels I've had, except for that proof point being a little bit higher and that honey note. Alrighty, let's go for a taste. Okay. A lot of bitterness on the taste. Wow. It is my first sip of the night, so I'm going to acclimate first. But you get some nice dusty corn profiles going on in there. A little charriness. Love that charriness. And there's also like a roasted nut. Almost like cashews, like been roasted. Interesting. I never knew to pull a nutty profile coming out of Peerless. Okay, let's go back in for another sip. Definitely a lot less bitter notes on my second sip. Comes across a little more tannic though, so maybe that's the bitterness that I'm pulling out there. Got that nice leathery note going on. Honey is still showing up as well. But for me, it's coming across more like a honeycomb versus honey. Good warmth on the palate. Not a super big cling though, and that's interesting. I was expecting a little more cling from the profile. Sweet vanillas, still get that charry kind of brulee note going on as well. Interesting enough, I'm getting almost like the multicolor peppercorns, like when you crack those. It's reminding me more of that versus the standard black peppercorns. A little bit of dry leatheriness in here as well. The interesting thing here is that it's fairly drying on the palate. I was not expecting that. It's not bad, but it is pretty well pronounced on that. Nice rice spiciness in there too for me. Yeah, I like that. It actually helps combat almost the over-oaked profile going on here right now. I think because it is getting more tannic and oaky. I mean, this shockingly gives me vibes of the double oak, but not as good. Like, the double oak is still a superior bottle compared to this one, but the profile is there. The toasted cask does bring across some drier notes, a little less sweet than I was hoping it would be. But overall, it's a good example of toasted, especially keeping it barrel proof. I don't know how many toasted casks are out there from other companies keeping it barrel proof, but overall, definitely one of my more pleasant sips coming from Peerless. I keep going back to them, even though sometimes I'm like, a little bit iffy on things, but it's pretty good. Yeah, overall, this is classic bourbon, cranked up a bit more with that toasted cask. The biggest thing for me, you're going to have to come in here knowing you're going to get a little more husky, dusty corn on there. But the other big thing is the fact that you're going to find more of that kind of drying tannic note going on. Pretty solid. Alrighty, let's talk about a grade for this one. So, typical pricing on this looks like it's going to be right around $100. The distillery itself selling it for $125. Most online retailers are selling it for about $100. Man, that's a hard. I really want to say probably a C, which is, average. I think it's a good pour. I don't think it's worth a $125 pour, but if at $100 and you're a Peerless fan, I think it's a pretty good solid pour. I like it. I don't love it. Personally, I just think there's some other toasted profiles out there that come across a little sweeter and not as tannic. But overall, I think it's a really solid sip, maybe one that you want to try before you buy. But either way, I hope they keep this one going. So yeah, there you have it, folks. Peerless Toasted Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. If you have any questions about the bottle itself, let me know down in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer it. And if you have any specific spirits I should go looking for, also let me know down below. Love doing these reviews and sharing with you the experience at home. And as always, may your last drink of the night be the best one.
I even like it might